Hello, hello, hello. It's almost 2 o'clock, and this is going to be the Sunday brunch. So, just waiting for you guys to join. Hi, Nita Rap. Hi, Petty, Q the comedian. Hi. Thanks, guys, for joining. Just waiting for a few of you guys to join. Hello. Thank you guys for joining. So today we will be having a session with Stephanie Lawrence. She is known as the Credit Repair Queen. So she will be joining very soon. Just waiting for her to join our live. Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, thank you guys for joining. Okay, so let's see. Okay. All right, so we're about to be live with Stephanie. Hey, Mom. Moms are always our biggest supporters, so my mom is joining my session. Hi, Steph.
Hey, Gabby.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still recovering, so
Good.
I had my wisdom tooth pulled on Monday.
I remember what that feels like, so trust me, I feel your pain.
Thank you. So I'm just going to give everyone a brief history on, first of all, how I know you, and some cool facts about you, and as well about myself. So
okay, cool.
Stephanie and I, we go way back. So I consider Stephanie another older sister of mine. We went to Dickinson together back in the day. And Stephanie, I believe you were 2 grades above me.
Yes.
Okay. And everyone looked up to you. You were always so nice, super smart. You were always in the library, very inspiring. I was like, I need to be a little bit more like Steph. She's always in the library. But I've had the great chance to see you blossom from graduating from Dickinson to now owning your own business, specializing in credit repair. And I know it's a bit of a taboo subject because everyone has a credit score, but people don't really like to talk about it. I know, myself included.
Absolutely.
So, and I've stumbled across a few of your live sessions in the past where you've been very candid about your own personal journey with your credit and how right now you consult others on achieving a perfect credit score, which is what in the 700s. That's what good credit is these days,
yes.
Right? Okay, awesome. So for those of you that are joining us now, my name is Gabrielle Jaffe, and I am a brand manager by day and a lifestyle marketing consultant by night, all my spare time. So I recently, this year, one of my goals was to have more informative sessions and share amazing people that I know, as well as provide advice to other entrepreneurs like ourselves. And so the very first thing I wanted to do was to discuss credit. You can't live in this day and age without having decent credit. And again, I know a lot of people don't like to discuss it, so I just wanted to have a candid conversation on a Sunday. Normally we're at brunch during this time, so we need to talk about things that are super important. And what sparked this type of live today was Apple recently released the news that they're going to have a credit card.
Be careful.
A credit card. So I was like, oh my gosh, I need the Apple credit card. Everything's Apple. I have an iPad, I have an iPhone. Like, I love Apple, but I was thinking, I was like, wait, I already have a credit card, like a Capital One.
Mm-hmm.
And then I already have a store card for J. Crew. Can I even afford more credit? And so I wanted to speak with you today, Stephanie, and you tell everyone if adding more credit cards, A, helps to increase your credit. Does it hurt your credit? And two, if you have any inside scoop on this new Apple credit card.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Gabby, for bringing me on today.
You're
and
welcome.
the wonderful, wonderful intro. So for those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Stephanie Lawrence. I'm also known as a Credit Repair Queen, and I help small business owners achieve the credit that they need to start and fund and grow their business. So that's a little bit about me, and I strongly believe that we should be given a second chance for those past financial mistakes that we made in the past. Years ago when I started on my journey and trying to apply for a truck and trying to apply for a home and got denied, that's when I was struck with the harsh reality that credit is very, very important. I thought that just having a job, with some pay stub was going to be good enough. Right. And that's when I was paying, $500 for a car that was, old as crap,
Yeah.
and double-digit interest rates, like 23.5 interest rates. And that was something that just couldn't be sustained. And that's when things start to trickle out of control.
Well, Steph, I want to pause you for a second. What's considered a good interest rate?
So a good interest rate, you definitely want it to be under double digits. Okay, so anything 10 and above, it's going to be crucial because that's going to go towards the interest. You're never going to be paying down that principal balance. So you definitely want to keep it below 10%. So for like a car, 3 to 6% is really good. The housing market has really good interest rates now as well. So you definitely want to shoot below 10%. Once they get into the double digits is where it starts to really, really get tricky.
I don't think I've ever seen an application or been approved for credit where I've had under double digits.
And that's the problem. So that is the problem. So that's the cycle that we get thrown into, right? So we're looking for credit, and the people who are going to approve us are going to punish us for it, right? And that's how they get their extra money with those 13%, 24% interest rates. So you're paying, the high interest rates. So they're taking a while to get that money. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you might go over your limit, right? You may pay late. So there's late fees and over the limit fees. So they know who to target to get their money. Right. And that's what having poor credit, ends up having us do. We're desperate for that credit. So we're going to apply for those credit cards, even though they have high interest rates, because we're desperate for anyone to approve us. Right. When you get those credit card offers in the mail, you open it real quick. Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So
I know sometimes, or I know people who don't have a credit history are more inclined into opening a credit card. Do you see in your experience people that don't have a credit history are given high interest rates because they're brand new?
Well, it's actually even harder for those people to get credit, period. So not having any credit history is almost the same as or even worse as having bad credit. So it's almost better to have some type of credit history in your credit report and your score is bad rather than having no credit history at all. You'll get denied way more often. So interest rates probably isn't even an issue because you're probably not even going to get approved. But it's
like who came first, the chicken or the egg? So if you don't have credit history and you need to build it and you need a credit card, like what do you do?
So in those cases, what you do is you get a trusted source. So a friend, a sibling, a mom, a dad, an aunt, a grandmother to add you onto one of their credit cards.
Oh.
Okay. So you get added as something called an authorized user, right? Okay. And you jump onto their credit history. So say they've been paying this credit card for like 10 years. You immediately get those 10 years of payment history onto your credit report.
Are you serious?
It's called piggybacking. It's called piggybacking. So you never get access to the card. Okay. So you're not running up their balance, right?
Yeah.
So you just get the history. So now you don't look like a brand newbie out there looking for credit and you've never had any history or anything like that. The second thing you want to do is apply for something called a secured credit card.
Okay.
That means you're putting down the collateral, the security deposit, in exchange for them approving you for that credit card. So there is some investment needed in this way. However, that's the only way you're going to prove yourself, right?
So
to start building that credit history.
Would you recommend using that tactic, let's say for a college student? So, you know, when you go to school, the first thing that first week, you see several credit companies lined up with all this information, with these shiny cards. You could put your own little logo on it. You know, you feel like, okay, I'm grown up, I'm 18, I'm in college, now's the time for me to build my credit, right? No one's really had this candid conversation with you about maintaining good credit. And so 9 to 10 times you're going to sign up. So would you recommend these young students do that piggyback method that you just explained?
1000%. So I would recommend both strategies, right? The secure card as well as the piggybacking. So you're absolutely right. And I believe I did make that mistake as well in college. I signed up for one of those cards. And then, I mean, we don't even have a job at that time. Like, who's going to be paying that bill? Right? So we're ordering pizza for our dorm room, right? We're doing all this irresponsible stuff and we don't have the money to pay it back. Right. And so we end up in that cycle at a very, very early age. And no one, like you said, taught us about it, talked about it. It wasn't in classes in high school. Like our parents didn't even talk about it. So, you know, we got thrown out there and we went for it. And they knew who they were targeting. So yes, I definitely recommend the piggybacking method. And to start the children off very young, you can even start adding your children from the age of like 12 or 13. Add them on. Yes. So this is what I have asked my clients to do. Add your children when they're about 12 or 13. So guess what? As their graduation present, they have a 700 credit score by the time they're 18.
Wow.
Because now they have that year, those years of history, and they haven't even done anything. But they have your history because you've been practicing good credit habits, right? You add them onto all of your accounts. And over those years, those 6-7 years, now they have great credit. They graduate with good credit. You teach them how to maintain it. And now they're off in the world with already a great credit score.
That's amazing advice. I have another question for you. And I don't know if this is a rumor, but I remember when I graduated from school, I majored in economics and I was applying to a lot of like baking type of companies. And I was told that a lot of these companies do a credit check on you. And 9 out of 10 times, if you have poor credit, you won't get that job. Is that true?
Actually, it is. It is. So employers do actually have permissible purpose to inquire into your credit report. So they are one of the few institutions that do have the right? So they have permissible purpose, and they do, even for promotions, for security clearances, they look at your credit. Absolutely. So a lot of my clients, work for the government, and they need to maintain that security clearance for their job, or else they will lose their job.
And that's depending on your credit score.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you owe every Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? If you fell behind and you owe them, your security clearance is at jeopardy. So employers absolutely do have permissible purpose to look into your credit report. And they do use it for hires, firing, and for promotions. Absolutely.
You just like opened my mind.
And a lot of
job and a career, but
exactly, a lot of people don't know that, and it actually is, their right to do so. Absolutely. And so you have a lot of people who like work at the banks, right? So things like that. It's mortgage lenders. Like it's very important because they're assisting people with their finances, things that are very sensitive. So they want to know that you are somewhat trustworthy. It's a sign of trust as well, right? Are you paying your bills responsibly? Like you're responsible, you're trustworthy. So they want to know that you are maintaining your bills correctly and you're not overextending. When you owe a lot of people, that translates to other things in your life as well, right? So that's why they like to do that for permissible purposes of hiring you, letting you go, giving you a promotion, and your security clearance as well.
Right. So I had cut you off a little bit earlier where you were discussing your story and how you ended up working in credit, because I know in school you were interested in the sciences, and then you just blossomed into this like credit repair guru. So what gave you that epiphany to like switch gears and say, okay, I not only need to help myself, but I need to help my peers?
Great question. Great question. So like you said, in college, I did major in biology. I did want to go pre-med. From a child, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. Everyone will tell you that. So I've always wanted to help people. And that was the way I thought I needed to help people. Right. And, I had my daughter and I went to go apply for a home and the whole car thing. And when I got denials and I was paying so much in interest rates, that's when I was like, hold up. What are you talking about credit? Like what's this credit score thing that is denying me from my dreams, right? And so that's when I started to just go to Google. Like seriously, I went to Google and I said, let me find out what this is all about, why I'm being denied, and what I can do to actually fix it. And so I read some books, I ordered some DIY kits, some guides, watched YouTube videos, and I still didn't have like a step-by-step process. I was just doing things here and there. I would see one thing come off, but it just wasn't really coming together. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to go get trained by someone who's done it before, right? Someone who's been successful in the industry. They have been doing it for about 23 years. Wow. And I said, this is it. So I flew out to Arizona. And I got trained and learned everything there is to know, all the laws, all the techniques, like everything I could learn. I came home and I seriously didn't even unpack my bag. I just started implementing everything I learned. And when I started to see results, I said, you know what? Let me try it a little bit more, right? So I asked my friends, I asked my family, and I was like, would you mind, if I tried some things to see if I can improve your credit? Who's going to say no? Right. What do you have to lose besides some bad credit? Right. I was doing it for free. So they all said yes. Gabby, when they started to see results, I was more happy than they were. And that was the moment I knew that this is what I was destined to do, because I was so overjoyed. I was so happy, like literally jumping up and down with joy that I was able to help them. And so that was the moment I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this actually as a job. Wow. And that's what turned things around. So when I saw results for myself, results for my closest friends and family members, it was like, okay, I think I deserve to get paid to do this. Absolutely. Right. And that was literally my calling. I was like, yeah, but I'm still helping people just in a different way. And It's still as rewarding and powerful, just as if I was helping people with their health.
And to be honest, you're still immersed in science, because repairing credit is a science in itself. So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And you're helping people's livelihoods. So you can't walk around without some sort of credit.
Yes.
So earlier, someone recently joined the chat. Her name is K-Right-Ive. I don't think I'm saying, it's a sir. I don't think I'm saying his name correctly. But he said, what is the piggyback and how do I get my child on it?
Awesome. Good question. So piggybacking is what I was explaining to Gabby earlier. It's the route of adding as an authorized user. So if you have a current credit card that you've been paying on time, make sure that you make your payments on time now. There's no point in adding someone if you're not making payments on time. Make sure the payments are on time. And you can actually do this online. You can go to your manage users, log into your online banking, go to manage users, and you'll be able to add someone as an authorized user. All you need to provide is their first name, their last name, and their social security number. And you can have the card sent to you. So again, they don't have access to the card, right? And then the history will automatically populate onto that person's credit report. Okay. So it's being added as an authorized user is the main technical word for piggybacking.
Okay, so someone said the longer you have a credit card, does that make you have a tax? Make a tax better? I'm not really understanding that.
The longer you have a credit card, do that make you have data tax a better credit? I'm sorry, if you could reword the question so we could better understand so I can answer you, that would be great. But the longer you have credit is always great.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the end of the question is, but the longer you have credit, so you do want to add someone to your credit card that has longer history.
So let's see. The longer you have a credit card, does that make you have better credit? So basically saying,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I get it. Okay. So the longer you have credit, does that make you have better credit? Okay. So it's one of the main key factors. So there are 5 key factors that you have to pay attention to when you're talking about credit. Okay. So one key factor is your length of credit history. So how long have you had credit history open? Right. So what they tend to look for is how many years on average have you had open credit cards and revolving credit, right? So they're looking for 9 years or more of credit history. Oh, wow. So obviously the longer the better your credit score will be. But remember, that's only 1 out of 5 key factors. So yes, it will help you have a better credit score, but you can't ignore the other 4. So if you have, crazy balances and you're applying for credit every month, that will bring your score down. But that's one key factor. So yes, 9 years or more of what they're looking for to have a 700 plus credit score.
Wow.
Okay.
So another person just asked, what about your credit and student loans? So do your student loans impact your credit score?
Okay, so this is a good question because a lot of people come to me and they're like, Stephanie, my score is so low because of my student loans. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I have a lot of student loans on there. And I'm like, well, so do I. But I don't have a bad credit score. So what exactly about the student loans is it that you think is causing the bad credit? So most people have them in deferment or forbearance and they're making their payments on them. So it's not hurting your score at all.
So, well, she just had a follow-up, okay? She says, I've been getting denied because of my student loans, even though they're currently deferred since I'm still in school. It's very discouraging. Any advice?
Okay, good question. So if you're getting denied, because, okay, what exactly are you applying for? So that matters as well. So it depends on what you're applying for, why they're denying you because of your student loans. Were they in repayment status at some point and you missed the payment and now they're in deferment? That could be one thing. Do they have a monthly payment reporting that you owe on a monthly basis and that's calculated in your debt to income ratio? Maybe that's the problem. So there's many factors as well as what you are looking to get approved for. But if it is in deferment status, it should not have a damaging effect on your score. So your score is going to be different from your approval. Okay. Right? So sometimes
those are two separate things.
They're 2 separate things. Yeah. So some people are looking at your score, and then some people are looking at what makes up your score. So what are your monthly payments like? What are your current balances like, right? That determines your approval. So what I would ask you, Mara, Kiva Vibrations, is what are you trying to apply for? And then what exactly in the student loan status is preventing you from getting approved? All right, so it's very unlikely that the student loan itself is causing the denial. I highly, highly would think it isn't. So it depends on what you're applying for again. And then what's the status of the student loan besides the deferment? Like, was there a late payment somewhere, along the line before you got it in deferment status? So if you can let me know, and then I'll further answer the question.
Also, too, if you think about this, you said that having a short credit history definitely plays into part of getting credit. So if you're a college student and you graduate, you've only been in school for 4 years, so you don't have any credit, but you have, let's say, over $100,000 in student loans. Okay? Now, and then you're applying for credit. It's very unlikely that you'll be approved.
There you go. So yes, they may be saying the student loan is causing the denial, but like Gabby explained, they're probably not wording it in the way for you to understand what you need to get approved. So the student loan itself is probably not the underlying factor. It's probably the fact that you only have a student loan on there and not any positive revolving credit to help you boost your score. So you have to have balance. So like she said, you can't come there and try to get approved for maybe a home, right? That's $250,000. And you haven't shown in other areas that you know how to pay on a monthly basis, right? A car loan over a 5-year period of time, right? So that's what your score is telling everyone, right? How well do you manage your bills over time? And what's the likelihood that you're going to be late in a 90-day period?
Wow. So now, is this a myth or fact? So someone has just said that what some people don't know is that your driver's license plays a part of your credit.
Plays a part. Mm-hmm. Your driver's license.
So can your driver's license impact your credit score?
Your score, no. It's a part of your credit profile, but it does not play a part in your score. So your driver's license has nothing to do with your credit score. So your personal information section of your credit report is very important, right? So your name, your date of birth, your social, your employment is in your personal section information. You want that section to be as accurate and clean as possible, right? So you don't want a whole lot of different addresses to show that you move all over the place. You look unstable. Key, right? You don't want 5, 6, 7, 8 different variations of your name, right? Because then inaccuracies come on. So you want one variation of your name, which is the name you were given at birth. That's on your social security card and your driver's license. And you want one date of birth, one social, and one address, one employment, right? They want to know you're consistent, you're stable, you're credit worthy. So anything that's old, get it off. Tell them you don't live there anymore. You don't accept mail there anymore. You want it removed from your credit report, and you have the right to ask them to do that. So you want it clean and accurate as possible. So one name, one date of birth, one address, one employment.
Got it. Okay, so we just got another great question. How do I repair my credit card after I've defaulted on my student loans? They are garnishing my wages. What can I do?
Okay, good question. However, again, there are multiple factors that make up your credit score, right? So just because you defaulted on your student loans, there probably are other areas that will help you boost your score. So to have a personal plan for you, it would take looking at your personal credit report. Do you have other positive lines of credit, right? Like a secured card? Do you have store department cards? Do you have an auto loan that you're paying on time every month? If you defaulted on your student loan, they do have rehabilitation programs, and you can reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. Reach out to them and ask them about their rehabilitation programs, and they actually do remove those negative items from your credit report once you pay them about 6 months in a row in their rehabilitation program. So I would ask them about those options. But you can dispute those. I think she said defaults. Yeah, if you defaulted on payments, like they were late at some point, you can dispute those from your credit report. But again, one negative thing is not going to be the deterioration of your credit score. There's going to be some other things, right? So a lot of people come to me and they say that, right? Oh, I defaulted on my student loan, my credit's bad. No, there's something else there. So we would need to take a look at those other things to see exactly what you need to be in a position to make it better. So maybe you need to add some more positive lines of credit. Remember, balance, right? So we need to add more positive. So a lot of people think that just getting rid of all the negative is going to be the key. If you get rid of all the negative, what do you have to prove to them? That you're responsible, that you can pay credit on time, that you can manage credit well. Removing the negative is just one thing. You got to add positive and maintain it. So like we said, getting a new credit card, getting a new line of credit, right? Paying it on time, setting up automatic payments so it's always on time. Those are the good credit habits that we need to make so that we can show them that we're credit worthy and get a higher score. So that one student loan thing is just one aspect.
Right. So that's a great segue into the new Apple credit card. Okay. So last week, Apple had a great conference, which they normally do. And what I think it's normally catered towards millennials, right? Where they're going to have a credit card. It's basically a virtual card first, a physical card second. It'll just have your name and the Apple logo. Okay. It's going to be made out of titanium. So they already had me at titanium. Okay. I could care less about the interest rate or whatever. I'm just like, I need a titanium virtual Apple card.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Just like all their other products.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a great opportunity, especially for those who are Apple heads. Like you said, Apple phone. Here I am, my MacBook, right? My iPad, right? So there are lots of people out there who are just Team Apple. So it is a good opportunity for them to capitalize off of that. However, you do need good credit. It's not for everyone. It's not if you're just getting started in the credit world. Don't come out of college and say you're going to go apply for Apple credit card just because, right? So through my research, I found that you do need good credit though. Okay. So, what's that?
To be approved.
To be approved. Yes. Right. So you do need a good credit score. So you want to work on improving your credit first before you go apply for this card. But they have some really great benefits. No 0% over the limit fees, right? No balance transfer fees. If you want to increase your limit, no fees, right? So they're really doing a good job of the no fees things. There's a lot of credit cards out there who say, okay, no fees. No, Apple actually means it. There are no fees, okay? So it really is a good opportunity for those who are into Apple to benefit from the card if you have good credit, because you're not overpaying.
Right. And I heard that you get daily cash back too.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it's like real cash back. So you can use it towards your bill, or you can take it and use it as your money. So it's real cash back that you earn on every purchase. So it's a really good opportunity. And I think in the future, they're thinking about having it turn into like a regular credit card. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's going to be
it's going to be actually backed by Goldman Sachs. So this apparently is Goldman Sachs' first ever credit card. And I just know back in the day, like when all of my friends at Dickinson were getting internships and myself was not, and I had no idea it had something to do with my credit score. Put it that way.
Oh, wow.
But I always knew Goldman Sachs was like the creme of the creme of banks, right? But I didn't know that they didn't have a credit card. And so for them to be partnering with Apple and to create a consumer line of credit is like a big deal.
Oh, a huge deal. So, and that's why they're able to probably offer these great no fees, right? So it's going to be really a game changer, because if you were to use your regular credit card, there's fees involved. Right. But if you're an Apple head and you want to get that new, Apple desktop or whatever it is, you use that card and, you don't have to deal with those fees.
Right. So let me ask you this, Stephanie. It is considered a MasterCard. Now, if you are someone that already has a MasterCard, but you wanted to get an Apple card, do you know if you should just get rid of your old credit card, or would that affect your credit?
Definitely don't get rid of your old credit card. That's a big no-no. So a lot of people find that either they're not using one of their credit cards, or it's just one of their older ones, and then they make the mistake of closing it, right? A lot of people, I come to their credit report and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait, why did you close this card? Oh, because I wasn't using it. No, you don't want to do that. Now back to the credit history thing, the length of credit history. When you close an older account, you what? Shorten your credit history. So now you've affected 15% of your score.
Wow.
So a lot of people see that decline and they're like, well, why did my score go down? I didn't do anything different. You closed.
And is that the same case for store cards?
Absolutely. Whatever kind of card, anything. If you close a store account that you've had for 6 years, you took away 6 years of history. Say you paid it on time for 6 years. Now you lost those 6 years of good payment history. Remember, the average of your credit history is a big proponent of your credit score, 15%. 15%. So you don't ever want to close a card. Just because you're going to apply for a new card, you don't close the other one.
Okay, let's say this. Let's say you've had a Victoria's Secret card since college, and now you've outgrown Victoria's Secret and you can no longer fit their lingerie, okay? And so now you're stuck with this store card because you don't want to tarnish your credit history. What do? Is there like a minimum payment you still have to make to keep this card active?
So this is what you do. You know when they have those big sales?
Yeah.
You go and get something with that big sale and you gift it to someone else. It doesn't have to be for you, but you need to maintain that activity. So do something nice for someone else. Go get some, they have those 6 for $25, I think. Yeah. You go for the big sale you spend a little bit of money, and you gift it to someone else. And there's your activity. But you have to maintain activity on that card to keep it open. If they, so say you don't close it, right? But if you're not using it, they will close it. So you want to maintain some activity. So remember, sometimes credit doesn't serve our purpose besides having a good credit score. So we got to play the game with them. Oh, so you want some activity, huh? Okay, I'm going to go and get some underwear with the, you know, the big annual sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you use that activity to boost your score.
Wow.
Right?
Oh,
you buy
really
something for, yeah, and you gift it to someone else. Gift it to your, well, someone. Your daughter, right? Give it to your daughter. Right. So there's always a way, even with your regular credit cards that you don't use. Go to a dollar store and charge something for $1. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be.
Does your activity have to be monthly, or can you do, because I know you said 90 days they look at your
you can space it out. You can space it out. So I would, every month you don't have to, I would say, but don't go more than 90 days without using the card. Okay, because they will, and because so all your credit card companies, they look at your credit report and they see what you're doing with other credit card companies or with anything, right? So they're like, okay, she's got large balances with this account. Like, what if she comes over here and maxes out our card and then doesn't pay us? Oh, we're going to close her account, or we're going to reduce your limits. So they get real petty. They get really, really petty. So you want to play the game with them and know what you need to do. So maintain activity on all of your accounts. Right. Use it for gas, buy a pair of socks, buy some underwear, but keep it small so that you know you can maintain the payments. But you maintain just activity.
Said some, like, eye-opening things so far today. So for the people that just joined, so I've been having a live session today with Stephanie Lawrence. She is the credit repair queen. Okay, so if you haven't had a chance, you need to go check her out on her Instagram and then sign up for a one-on-one consultation because she's amazing. But today she dropped some gems. So the first thing was the piggyback. Okay, so if you have children or a cousin or whatever, and they're about to go to college, or they're 12 or 13 years old, and you want to help them establish their credit early on, you can add them to your account. But your account has to be in good standing. So by the time they are college age, or they're ready to go to school, or the next chapter of their lives, they now have a good credit score.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Number 2.
Write that down, guys. Write it down, because you want to implement it in your own life. I mean, how wonderful would that be to gift your children or your niece or someone a great credit score? I mean, it's priceless. You know, we don't want them making the same mistakes that we made, right? Absolutely. So let's teach them young and write that down and do it for them.
Absolutely. Number 2. So I asked her, is it a myth if your credit score affects you from getting a job, particularly in finance? And it does. Your credit impacts that decision. So you want to make sure that right now, if your credit score is not healthy, and Steph, what would you say is a healthy credit score?
I would say 680 or above. If you want to be in the elite status, of course, you want to shoot for 720 and above. But 680 is good. You know, you can get some good rates. You can get some qualifications and approvals. But if you want to be in the elite status where you're paying 0% interest rates and getting approvals without ever questioning anything, 720 and above.
Okay. And I'm glad she just said interest rate. So another thing that was eye-opening today, she said a good interest rate is below double digits. So 10%, so 9% below. Right? And I'm sure if you're like me, you've seen the interest rate at 20 and above, which is not good.
Okay. You will struggle, I'm telling you. So one thing to warn you about, those secure cards that you will apply for to help you boost your credit, they will come with a high interest rate. So don't be alarmed. However, it's a sacrifice you have to make to build your history. So yes, you know, we have to take those steps, but you know, we will be punished a little bit to get there. So the only people who are going to approve us are the people who are going to be charging a little bit higher interest rates. But that's why you're going to clean up your credit, boost your scores so that you can get those other cards with 0% interest, you know, do balance transfer with no fees and things like that to better your credit. Okay, so do know that it will come with a higher interest rate, but it's all within the sacrifice of building your credit history.
Okay, so before we go today, Stephanie, I want to leave people feeling a little bit more empowered. I know it's scary talking about credit, your credit score. And actually, I'm one of those people who I don't like to discuss money. I'm just like, if I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. Whatever. I might not be here tomorrow. Like, that's been my attitude about money, and especially credit. So is it too late for someone to rebuild their credit history and go from, what's considered poor to an elite status?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like you said, it really is a sensitive subject. But if you don't address it, you'll never improve it, right? So we have to be, in the mindset that we want to do better. Like, what is it that you want out of life? Do you want to start a business, right? Do you want that new car, but you want it at a lower interest rate? Do you want to buy your dream home for your family? Do you want to be able to take trips with your family, but you're not paying so much, right? So what is it that you want? So I always have my clients start there. What are your ultimate goals? If you don't identify your ultimate goals first, you're never going to stay motivated. You're never going to stay inspired to stick with the process, because again, it's not an overnight process. But when you have that end goal in mind, just with anything in life, right? If your end goal is to start this business and get it up and running, you're going to do what it takes to get there, right? And if the credit is that barrier, then you have to talk about it, right? You have to deal with it. You have to face it. So that's the first thing I always have everyone do. What are your 3 top goals? What do you want out of life? Name them, write them down, and keep that in the forefront of your mind. And that's what keeps most of my clients inspired, because I follow very specific formula. And when they have this step in front of them, they always remember why they're doing this. Why do I need? Because credit is not something that you want to do, right? Credit is not something that you want to talk about. However, it's the path you have to take to get to where you want to be. That's it, right? So that's the only reason why we talk about credit repair, because you want that car, you want that house, right? You want that job, you want that business, right? And better credit is what's going to get you there. So it's always my job to help empower you to take control of your financial life, and then to educate you on the importance of having great credit, and then to help you elevate your credit scores to new heights. All right. So that's the importance. But again, without having an ultimate goal, it's going to be very difficult to stick with the process. But, if it's important enough to you, you will.
Which it should be, from what you said today. Like, credit is just as important as have good dental hygiene.
It's more important. It's more powerful than having $1 million in the bank. Right. Trust me, there are people who have millions of dollars in the bank and can't buy a house, or can't buy, right? Because they don't have the credit to do so. Right. They have the money, they have the cash, but they don't have the credit worthiness. Wow. So you're really powerless in this today's world, which is, kind of sad, but you're powerless in today's world without it. You really are.
How can people get your services? How do they find you? What do they do?
Awesome. So there are plenty of ways you can sign up to work with me. You can find me on Instagram at The Credit Repair Queen. You can find me at Facebook at The Credit Repair Queen. You can email me as well, Stephanie at precisioncreditrestoration.com. And you can reach me on my phone at 877-292-0656. So we start off with a consultation, and we set out your goals, what challenges you may be facing, any obstacles you're having that's preventing you from getting those credit approvals. And then we map out a credit improvement action plan to help you accomplish those goals.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who really couldn't write down the information that Stephanie just said, I will be sharing that on my Instagram feed with all of her info, ways to contact her, and reasons of why you should contact her. It's really important. And I just want us all to feel more empowered and not feel afraid to discuss finance with one another, because if we all share the wealth of knowledge, we will all succeed together. Okay?
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So Stephanie, thank you so much for having your Sunday brunch with me.
Thank you, Gabby. I feel very honored and pleasure, and it was great. It was very, very a good fun time. And that's my mission, always to educate, just want to share knowledge. And once you guys are empowered with the knowledge, then you can do better. So it was definitely an honor to be here today.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. So thanks, guys, for joining, and thanks for your wonderful questions. And Gabby, thank you again, hon.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good Sunday.
Bye.